hopefully. Morning, Tim.
Good morning, Michael. How you doing?
Good. Hopefully, this will be the last one of these for a while,
Yes, at least on this subject.
at least on this subject. So I was telling Tim, actually, we have technical meetings pretty much every morning about one thing or another, and I was saying we've gone through a lot of versions, and then I had to wait till the dust settled because you can only really do this once on my devices. So it's Monday, which I ended up working all day, and we've been stressing on Maestro updates. Make sure you do it by LAN. I went, okay, disabled the Wi-Fi, and then I noticed on my Maestro A model, I happened to be at the time, I had no connectivity to anything. And I go look at the back, and there's a LAN cable connected. And I go, it must be a bad LAN cable. This gets worse actually.
I was going to say,
Unplugged it.
yeah,
You
you tear
unplugged
into
it,
the LAN.
changed the LAN cable. Took a different port. It says, the light didn't come on the switch because the switch was right there. Jesus. Anyway, screw it, because I'd already wasted literally an hour trying to debug this. So I did the update by Wi-Fi, and I was at the cottage, so the Wi-Fi is pretty solid. Hi, Pat. And it was like a day later that I realized that the LAN cable also fits in the mic connector. So, of course, no LAN connection. Of course, didn't damage anything, but
Yeah.
however.
Yeah, in support, I tell Ken all the time, don't look for zebras, look for horses, which means go for the more common problem rather than the more esoteric problem. But yeah, I was going to say, you're not the first one to do that. You're not going to be the last.
Not by a long shot.
It's real easy to not select the connector under the power connector.
Yeah, or hi Kevin, or not, why select the connector under all the other radio connections?
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. I can understand it. Sure.
All right. Brett, good morning. Okay, where are we at?
Well, we are at Holly Springs right now.
Nice,
Oh,
nice,
you're
nice,
talking about the release. Okay.
nice green screen, by the way.
Yeah, that's about as good of a green screen as you can get because it's real. Sitting on the back porch for a few minutes to get a breath of fresh air. Um, when you sit in the office for 20 hours a day, sometimes it's nice to get on the back porch a little bit. So where we are at, we have made an incredible amount of progress since we last talked last week. We have sent the SmartSDR V2 and V3 versions for the Maestro updates to our illustrious Alpha team. And they have beat it up well and given us some feedback. And we've made a couple little minor tweaks and changes to some things. And it looks really, really good. And we are probably within 24 hours of releasing the software. So we wanted to do this video to talk a little bit about what you can expect if you're updating a Maestro. And because you're going to see things that are different that you've never seen before. It's going to take a different amount of time than it's taken before. And so we just wanted to kind of give everybody a kind of an overview of what's going to happen. And so that when it does happen, you don't freak out because it's easy to freak out because some of our Alpha team members did when they first saw it. So as we talked last week, one of the things that we've been working on is our integrated installer, which essentially is we want a single installer package that updates the M model radios, the Maestro A's and the Maestro B's all in one package. And so that's what we've been working on, and we've got it working. And so I want to go through the three different upgrade scenarios with you, depending on whether you have a Maestro A or a Maestro B or an M model, and what you can expect for this release. So getting the release is just like getting every other Smart SDR release. You connect your device to the internet. It downloads the version metadata, and you select. You connect to your radio, and you select the latest version, or from your screen, whether you're licensed for V2 or V3. In the case of V2, you're going to be selecting 2.7.6, and in case of V3, you're going to be selecting 3.2.39. And so you select the version. It will download the installer software from our software server, and then it will start the process. There is a new component to the M model and the Maestro installers called the .NET OS Updater. That's what we call it internally, and it's a different set of screens that you will see on your device if you need to have the operating system or .NET updated. And if you don't need to have any updates done on your screen, you will not see the updater. So for SmartSDR for M model radios, the M models already have all of the prerequisite operating system updates in .NET. So when you install it, you won't see any difference. It will take the normal amount of time to install the update on your M model, which is, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of several minutes. And then everything will reboot and you'll connect to your radio and away you go. So if you have an M model and you don't have a Maestro, you're not going to see anything different. Now, if you have a Maestro, you are going to see the updater show up. And
Now
it's
I've
going
got mine. I don't know if you can see it, Tim. I've got mine showing right
I
now.
do.
And this will show a lot more than you see because it's a development box, but you
Yeah.
get the idea.
So what will happen is that when you start running the update process for SmartSDR, the OS updater actually runs first. And what it does is it goes out and looks at the operating system on your device and checks to see if you've got the required operating system updates and .NET update on the device. If you don't, then the updater runs. And it'll be a different set of screens that'll pop up, and it'll show you that it's working. It goes through 3 passes, and each pass has a different stage. There are 4 steps in each stage. And so you check for updates, you download updates, you install the updates, and then you reboot after the update is done. So there is a difference between the Maestro A, which has the power button on the top of the unit, and Maestro B, which has the power button on the left side. And so we'll talk about the Maestro A first. So the Maestro A has the necessary operating system updates already installed on it, but it does not have the .NET update. So it will actually run through the OS updater in a fairly quickly. I mean, it takes about between 10 and 20 minutes for the OS updater to download .NET, install it on the Maestro, and then reboot. And then we also need to say, once it does that reboot, we also recommend that you reboot the Maestro just one more time before you connect to the radio, just to make sure everything is loaded and the network's connected and everything. And then you're way to go. Excuse me. Now, for Maestro B, it's a little bit different. Maestro B does not have the necessary operating system updates that are prerequisites for .NET to be installed. So the updater will go through all 3 passes. It will first download a first set of operating system updates, and then install them, and then reboot the Maestro. Then it will go through pass 2, which installs another set of operating system updates, and then reboots the Maestro. And then it'll go through the 3rd stage of operating, or not operating system, but the 3rd stage, which is actually the .NET update. Download it and install it, and then reboot. And I apologize for the QRM in the background. We've got a truck coming by picking up debris in the front yard. Those 3 processes on the B Maestros takes a while, and it can take between 3 and 4 hours. And I'm going to stop and let that sink in for a second. And yes, you don't have earwax in. You did hear 3 to 4 hours. On my Maestro that I ran, my Maestro B, doing my update, it took 2 hours and 58 minutes. And it's just a long process. You're going to have to be patient. It's one of those things where if you got yard work to do, start it, go cut the grass, come back, check on it, go paint the house, come back, check on it.
You're not going to miss anything.
Yeah, it's like watching paint dry. It truly is. So it does take a long time. Now there is there's a couple of other caveats that I do want to touch on, other than the fact that it takes a long time. The first caveat is that due to the nature of this type of update, the Maestro must connect to a radio to initialize the start of the upgrade. And so people that have a Maestro that is remote, where they don't have a radio with their Maestro, this is going to present a bit of a challenge, particularly if it's a Maestro B, and you have to travel a long way to update or to get to your radio if it's in a remote location, and then having to potentially stay there for several hours while the Maestro does its update. Or you use a Maestro at your home and you connect to your buddy's 6000 so that you can use it occasionally. You don't actually have it in your house. So if you don't have access to a Maestro, to a 6000 that you can connect to start the upgrade process, we ask you to submit a help desk ticket once you've downloaded the software, and we may be able to work around that scenario depending on several prerequisites are met. We don't want to really go into a whole lot of if then else kind of things on that. It's since this is a case by case basis thing, we'd prefer you to just submit a help desk ticket, and Ken, I, or Dan will help you through that process. The second thing is that since these updates take a long time, and we are also downloading the updates from the Microsoft update server, it is important that you run your Maestro connected to DC power, which, don't use the battery bank. Use the AC power brick or your 13.8 volt DC shack power supply coaxial connector plugged into the back of the Maestro. What you don't want to have happen is in 3.5 hours into a 4-hour upgrade, the power goes out in the Maestro. We have engineered this upgrade to handle these kind of faults so that you don't brick your Maestro, but if it fails in the middle of it, you will have to restart the upgrade process, and depending on where it failed, you may have to start at the very beginning. So gotta have good, solid, reliable DC power connected to the Maestro. So do not use battery banks. Just don't even think about it. Second thing is that you're downloading a lot of software updates from the internet to your Maestro devices. And while Wi-Fi will work, Wi-Fi is a convenience technology. And we do recommend, if you've got a wired Ethernet connection, to go ahead and plug it up into the back of the Maestro. It will detect that you've got the Ethernet connected and will use that as the primary connector for the network interface, and it will basically choose it as a preference over the Wi-Fi. Wired Ethernet is much more faster. It's more convenient. There's less errors, and it does speed up the upgrade process. So we do recommend that you use Ethernet, although you can use Wi-Fi. Mike tested on Wi-Fi. I tested on Wi-Fi. We didn't have any problems. But like I said, it took almost 3 hours to update my Maestro. So let's see. Anything else? Yes, there is a companion Smart SDR for Windows version that is coming out also with the exact same version numbers. So this release is not a hotfix release. This is a full maintenance release of Smart SDR. And if you're running the 2.3.37 or the 2.7.5 versions of software, which are the hotfix versions, we do ask you to go upgrade to the full version of software. Since your PC has already been updated to .NET, it's just going to be a straight normal update that you're used to seeing. If you didn't upgrade to any of the hotfix versions, you may have to update .NET on your PC. If you're running Windows 10, you do not. If you're running Windows 8, 8.1, or Windows 7, you may have to install the .NET upgrade. And generally your operating system will inform you that you need to install it and just follow the prompts. And if you have any problems with that, again, just open up a help desk ticket, and one of our illustrious technical support members will help you through the process.
You
So
did
let's
miss
see.
one thing.
I was going to say, did I forget anything, Mike?
Well, we wanted to. I'm taking this tongue in cheek, of course. We really tried to avoid this, but between each reboot,
Oh
there's a step.
yes, oh yes, unattended and attended modes. Yes. So for a Maestro, as I indicated, you're going to go through multiple stages, and after each stage of software installation, the Maestro is going to reboot. One of two things is going to happen. Either your Maestro was running an older version or a newer version of software, and you have the auto connect feature enabled. And then what will happen is you will be running in what's called unattended mode, where the Maestro will reboot. It'll automatically connect to the radio. It'll automatically pick up the next stage of software updates and keep on going. So you don't have to interact with the device as it's going through the .NET and the OS upgrades. Or you're upgrading from an older version of the Maestro software, and you don't have the auto connect feature enabled. And in that case, you will have to reconnect to your radio and then reselect the Smart SDR version, 3239 or 276, and to go to the next stage of the software updater. You'll have to end up doing this 3 times.
Just like here, process. Right? You'll have to start here.
Yep.
And
do
and
a connect.
And then the software will come up, and then pick 3.2 or
yep.
I guess there's a 2.7, which I haven't run down here.
Yep.
Type of thing. By the way,
and you just select it.
I was going to say the arrows are really important, by the way. So if it's a blue arrow, you need to download it to your Maestro, correct? And if it's a green arrow, it means that the radio needs to be updated.
Firmware update, yes.
Or firmware updated. By the way, I had a question today but it's important because, wow, do you have all those versions actually stored on your Maestro or your radio? And actually, I don't. Those are just a cataloging system. They're pointers to go get the stuff, right, Tim?
Right. Yeah, unless you don't have the little blue arrow next to it, like the 3231 Alpha, that version's actually installed on your Maestro. But you're correct. It's these are just this is the version metadata that we go out, and it tells you what to select. So let's see. That's about it. Does anybody out there in Facebook land have any questions that they want to bring up? Yeah, once I initiate the B upgrade, after it sees right, can I turn off the Flex Radio and let it do its thing? No, because you have to reconnect to a radio every time you go through the update stage until you're done. So you have to leave the radio powered on and accessible to the Maestro.
Okay.
Good question. So I turn my Maestro A on to do this, then turn on my 6500. Actually, the order doesn't really matter, but I normally turn the radio on first before I power up the client, just so that when the client powers up, it has a radio defined. Thinking about using wired LAN on a Maestro, it means you must be powered on a DC jack and not a UPS jump battery. That is absolutely correct, Pat.
Okay. This is the compatibility mode question.
So with 239, do you still need to potentially run Windows 8 in compatibility mode, or is that release fixed? Well, the answer to that is maybe. We're not 100% sure why some versions of Windows require compatibility mode and most versions of Windows does not. So until we can actually come to root cause on that, I can't give you a definitive answer. If the installer doesn't run in compatibility mode, but we are working on that issue.
And somebody start to ask a question, but I guess he just didn't. Does the radio and Maestro, and we need the rest of it, and we'd be happy to answer your question.
Yes, of course.
Here's Kyle. Now Kyle. Kyle's presented for us before, and
I'm assuming you want to update your Win 10 software first, then let it update the radio, and then upgrade your Maestro. Well, technically, it doesn't make any difference. You know, the order in which you do it. The Maestro can update the radio. The Windows 10 or the Windows Smart SDR for Windows can upgrade the radio firmware. They do it equally well. Personally, for me, I normally do the Windows update first and get it working, and then I normally will update my Maestro devices. And then also the M model. You know, if you're running an M model radio and you update using Smart SDR for Windows, you still have to update the front panel to the same version so that they're all in sync.
The science behind prerequisites from everything to everything is probably half the job in this thing, right?
Yes, it's all the dependency. The truth table that you have to go through to make sure all this works is the hard part.
We had a spreadsheet at one point in time that I started calling it the truth table, but we've made it easy. Here's another good question.
I have a new 6400M arriving tomorrow. Does it matter if I install in 34 and then update after the release, or do nothing until 39 comes out? I was going to say, if you're getting your Maestro, if it arrives tomorrow, there's a really good chance that you're going to have the software available tomorrow. So you know, when you first fire up your 6400M, you know, the front panel is going to fire up. It's going to have 34 already pre-installed on it. Run it, and then when you see the release announcement here on Facebook, or when you reboot your Maestro and you see the new version show up in the version selection, then go ahead and update to 39.
Yeah, and you're probably, and I'm guessing, Eric, you're probably not diving right into the SmartLink part of the technology either, so it won't really matter at the moment, right?
Right, but we do recommend everybody to upgrade to the latest version, and you know, and actually, Eric, this is a really good question, because, you know, even though it's not applicable to you, this will be applicable to other people. You know, when you fire up your Maestro and your M model, there's a whole lot of software versions that were shown on the screen, and the reason we left a lot of them there was because there was some issues with people with Maestros updating remote stations, so that because of SmartLink. Well, because SmartLink doesn't work anymore on these older versions of radio, we're going to be cleaning up that version list. So if you're still running an old 318 version or whatever, you're going to need to upgrade to the latest version of Smart SDR at your earliest convenience, because those versions will be going away soon.
This is a good question for new users, and this is something they had in place right from day one.
Yes, they do. The software is a little bit different. Well, the software has a couple of layers, and one of the layers is what we call the HAL, or the hardware abstraction layer. And so the Maestro hardware is slightly different than the M model front panel hardware, and so the low level of the hardware abstraction stuff is different between the two, but the upper layer stuff, the software that runs on the devices, is essentially the same, with some small caveats. I mean, you know, like, you know, the M model doesn't have a Wi-Fi adapter, so you don't have the Wi-Fi screens like you do in the Maestro. So that's how the hardware abstraction layer comes into play. If you don't have that hardware component, that aspect of the software isn't shown up or isn't presented to the user.
Good.
My radio is remote. Can I update the radio from the Maestro, which is local to me, or should I do this at the remote site? So if your radio is remote, there's not a lot there. Well, I was going to say there's not enough information in this question, so I'm going to have to fill some things in. If you're operating the radio via SmartLink, we do not support updating the radio firmware over SmartLink. In addition, if you're using SmartLink, the previous versions of software you had don't work anymore. So you've got a chicken and an egg issue. You would not be able to do that. Now, if you're operating across a VPN, virtual private network, where you can access the radio that way with your Maestro rather than using SmartLink, then you will actually be able to update the radio firmware through the bridged VPN, and you can do it that way. But the caveat here is, there's a lot of software updates that are going to be coming down to the Maestro. There's a lot of interaction between the Maestro and the radio. As long as your VPN is very reliable and solid and it's got some decent bandwidth, then there shouldn't be a problem.
And
Otherwise,
it has to be the right type of VPN.
yes, well, it has to be a bridged VPN.
It has to be a bridge VPN, which
Yeah,
is that's a
and
whole other discussion.
yeah, that's two or three more videos, but so that's the case there. But the Maestro does have to be able to see the radio, and so when you fire the Maestro up to do the update, if it cannot find a radio, then the update's not going to run. And in that case, like I said, contact the help desk. We may have some options for you. We'll just have to see if you meet some prerequisites.
Okay. I'm just going to post this, Mark. We're not going to answer your question, but if you call and talk to JP on the phone, we get him a conversation about which radio is the right radio, or ask in the community to see what others are doing. Community.flexradio.com. And moving over to Samuel, absolutely. In fact, Tim and I had this exact discussion. The A model and the M models is just like a regular update.
The only difference is the A model will update the .NET software. So the A model, you will see the .NET updater screens show up, and it will run through the .NET update, and that takes about 10 to 20 minutes. So that is a little bit different than the M model, which takes, there's no updates done. But it's not like the B, which takes, 2 to 4 hours.
Mm-hmm. We're almost done.
Yep. I'm assuming upgrading to 39 will not have any effect on my. You are correct. But we do want you to upgrade to the latest version of firmware on your radio.
Okay, and where is he? Let's hide him. And by the way, did you see my new T-shirt?
What does it say? Make good
waves.
We
have a whole new series of T-shirts. I don't know if they're in the store yet, but they should be. They were given away for QSO today, and then anyway, more to come on that. And Hano, thank you very much. Believe it or not, we try. We really do try. And I'll be really blunt here. We would love to share more, but it ends up becoming troll food, and I can't think of it a different way. And 99% of you guys are great, so we try to leak out what we can, and our heads aren't in the sand. Believe me.
Yeah. And we do understand and appreciate that. The update to Auth0 that broke SmartLink, which is one of our cornerstone features of our products, has been a major inconvenience to a lot of people. We get it, we understand it, we appreciate it. We've had developers who have been working upwards to 120 hours a week for the last 3 weeks to get this software out to you guys. And they are exhausted. I mean, they're just they're mentally drained, and we, like Mike said, we're having meetings every day just to make sure that they that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because when you're dealing with a project that's big and changes this major in the software, particularly for the Maestros, you want to make sure you got it right. And so we, like I said, we apologize for the delay, but we're pretty confident we've got it right.
What was I going to say? Please review the release notes for you Maestro B users. I actually videoed my entire update and then tried to compress it to about 5 minutes. It'll give you some ideas of the screens you're going to run through. Just so if you want to know, if you've worked in this industry or if you updated software your whole life, it's really no big deal. Just follow your nose, push, select next, and what would be the next obvious thing to do. But if it's foreign to you, the video might help. It'll be on YouTube. The link will be in the release notes to it, because I don't think we're going to make that public, or just leave it private. decided yet?
Well, I was going to say the release notes are currently going through a review process, and once we get the blessing from our marketing VP that it looks good, we will be posting the release notes prior to the software being available, so everybody will have an availability. And so when that happens, Mike's video will be available too.
Yeah, Lori's like the mum for all you guys to make sure.
Yeah.
We treat you all well. All right. Well, Tim, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Mike. It was fun.
And maybe we will just have to do a discussion on VPNs sometimes when we have a few more minutes and the good and bad. And if you really want to do your own
tap and ton,
we'll give you some ideas. We cautiously go there because we don't want to have to support it in the back end, but we're certainly happy to give you the tools to learn and move forward.
Yeah.
Anyway, 73, everybody. Have a great day. We will see you on the air. 6 meters is starting to really be booming at times.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Don't forget to work some FT4 and some sideband and CW. Don't get stuck on FT8 all day. It's like 900 people on FT8 all day and nobody else on the band.
Yeah. Definitely jump on 6 meters. Every time JT alert comes up, all the little boxes I see says work before. So I'm trying to work people that I haven't worked before. And the 6 meter community is a big community, but I'm already up to 342 grids on 6. So there's not too many I haven't worked.
By the way, I digress. When I got started on 6, I first used a 2 meter 5/8 wave antenna because that's a quarter wave on 6. Like your mobile antenna, it works really well. I've loaded up 50 meter dipoles or 40 meter. They seem to, tuners seem to handle it. If a tuner can handle it, give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun band. It's I was reading some stuff yesterday where a fella in the middle part of the country was working double hop skip out into the West Coast, and for like 3 minutes Japan showed up and he got 2 Qs in the log, and it is a magic band. It's fun to work.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, we do have a 4 meter band that's and an 8 meter band in the UK. I don't think we're going to be able to support 8 meters, but we haven't had that discussion.
The PA only goes up to 54 megahertz. So
right.
But,
well, 8 meters is south of that, so we have to worry about the bandpass filters.
Yeah.
See you later.
Get a transverter.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
That's true. The transverter works. You don't even need a transverter. You just need a power amp.
Yeah.
Because the transverter port would be open on the 8 meter band.
Yes, it would be.
10 plus 10 dB. Yeah. There. 73, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys and gals.